Welcome back, everybody. Hey, today we're going to be working on the underneath side of this barn here. This is an old bank barn. It's got a lower level with some animal stalls in it. And in this barn, the stalls were actually made out more for horses. They're like a horse stall. So they're old. We're going to be ripping one of the stalls apart today. We're going to put it back together, and we're going to try to put it back together especially for goats. So that's what we'll be working on today here on the barn renovation project. So last time on the barn project, we ended up replacing the posts on this side, re-supporting this header. On this other side, the posts are actually metal posts, and I'm not for sure if they're actually sitting on the concrete, if they're actually in the concrete, but they seem to be doing okay holding this header up. So I'm not even going to mess with these metal posts. I'm not going to try to take those out. I'm just going to leave this side kind of the way it is. So what we are going to do today is, this is a kind of a double stall here. It's got two doors. It looks like there used to be a divider and they took it out. So we're going to take this nice big stall here and we're going to tear it apart and turn it into a stall for goats. So we will, when we tear it apart, I'll probably go ahead and try to keep some of these hinges, keep some of that hardware to redo it. So we'll take the doors off. We're going to take this back wall off. I'm not understanding for sure why that's there, but we're going to take that off. We're going to do something different in the back for the goats. And then the side divider over here, we may have to work on that or redo that a little bit. But I just want to go ahead and get started. We're going to start tearing this apart, get a blank slate so we can start building a new stall here. So we got the old animal stalls ripped out. We ended up ripping them completely out, everything. A lot of the wood that was touching the concrete, just like the bottom 6 inches, was pretty rotten. So we just had to end up tearing it all out. So we got a nice clean blank slate to put everything back with. So first thing we're going to do is, these metal posts aren't going to be easy to work with. So to make them easier to work with, we're just going to box in around them. We're going to box in around them with some 2x4s and 2x6s. We're going to build a little wooden column here with that post in the middle. And then that'll give us something to be able to nail and build off of by building a wooden column around those posts. So over here, probably going to put our gate right in here. Going to probably make it the same width as our aisleway. We're going to build a little wall here on this side. Probably put a hay feeder on that wall, something that we can load from the aisle so we can feed the goats from the aisleway. Over here from this post to the back wall, we'll put a divider. We're going to build it up pretty high so that the goats can't get into the next pen. And then on this back wall, there's this funky 2 rows of concrete blocks there. And that's probably why they had that old back wall there, was to keep animals from stepping into these concrete blocks. But we're going to use them instead to we're going to build a platform off of that, like a raised platform for the goats to be able to lay on. So the way I understand it, goats don't like to lay on the ground. They like to lay on something elevated. So we'll just build a little platform along that back and give the goats like a little place to lay down. So we'll go ahead and get started, get building. So it is day 2 of the goat stall build. I pretty much just need to kind of close off the front, kind of wall that all in, and just get a gate made. So getting pretty close. So what's been a huge resource on all the projects over the last 6 months is that we just built a house, and we ended up, since it was like a log home package, they deliver a certain amount of material, a certain percentage higher, you know, in case of scrap. So I think the guys who built my house were very good about not having a lot of scrap. So I ended up with a ton of extra lumber. So slowly working through all that lumber. So I've got like a pile of 2x6s here. I've got a few sheets of OSB right there. I've had some treated lumber, but I've about used all the treated up. There wasn't much treated. And around here you use a lot of treated lumber up on projects because everything's outside. This section here is all beams. I've got like a bunch of 4x8 beams, and then that's basically my rafters, in my house, the beams of my house that hold the roof up, and I've got a bunch of those extra, and I got a bunch of cutoffs. So I'm not really sure what to do with these beams. They're not treated. I'm kind of afraid to use them outside, but I've got these huge wooden beams. They're under this plastic here. You won't be able to see it, but I'm just not sure what I want to do with them. So over here, of course, I got scaffold boards here on top, but I've got this is just kind of a mixed match pile of everything. You can see some of these beams. These are all cut off beams and stuff. So these are some of the beams and stuff that I have left over from my house. A lot of these are short cutoffs. These are probably 6 to 8 feet long. And then I've got a ton of this like siding. This is all tongue and groove siding. Some of it's smooth. Some of it is got the hand hewn axe cuts on it, but I've got all this is basically 1x12 lumber, and I've got a bunch of that, and I can always cut that down for other projects. But this this lumber we have sitting around has just been a huge resource. I'll slowly work through this over the years. It makes everything I build so much cheaper because I've already paid for it up front, I guess. And so what I want to use on the goat stalls, I want to use this. This is like it's like a 1x6 tongue and groove siding. There's only one piece sitting here. I actually have a stack of it, or about a 1/10 of a stack left back by the house, and I've never moved it into the barn. It's just covered up with a tarp. So we'll run over there, grab some of that tongue and groove siding, and we'll put that up in the barn stall to kind of close the front off. So it ended up taking me a total of 2 days to finally build this goat stall. I actually ended up tearing out more than I'd hoped to. A lot of those boards were rotted at the bottom next to the concrete and probably made that job a little bit bigger than I wanted it to. But I think the end results turned out pretty good. So let me just walk you through and show you what we got. So the front of the goat stall, I think this turned out pretty good with the tongue and groove boards going vertical there, and then I like the door we ended up making with the cross buck in the middle. I think that turned out pretty good. So the hinges we ended up putting on the back side, put them on this left-hand side, and the door actually swings inward. I got to thinking I didn't want this gate to swing open and block this aisleway. So if we end up having more animals later, because we got more stalls down here to fix up, so we end up getting more animals, I don't want to be able to block the aisle with the gates. There's not a very wide aisle here. So I decided to swing that inward. And so all I used for the gate latch was just one of these hooks. I think I tend to overthink things, and I think sometimes simpler is better. So I just went with this simple hook. And this door can swing all the way around to the back wall. And it can also actually swing the other direction and open about 2.5 feet. And then, so when that's open the other way, it doesn't quite, block the whole aisleway. So I think I kind of like the way this actually ended up turning out. So on the inside of the goat pen here, we got our platform built. And so that platform ends up being 34 inches wide, and the stall totally actually ended up being 13 feet long. So this side over here, we put the goat and sheep panel here on the side to keep them from going through, and then we put another one up here at the top just near the platform so that they can't jump into the other pen. If this area ends up being a problem, I can always add another panel later. So the inside of the stall, with all this tongue and groove board here, it actually ends up with a smooth side that they can't kind of climb up. So it's almost kind of like a wall that's not easy for them to climb on. So I kind of like that. Originally wanted to make this solid because we're going to put a hay feeder in this area here. And I didn't want the hay to be able to fall through the other side. So I wanted a solid back for a hay feeder. And we got a mineral feeder we need to put in here as well. I think I'm going to come back on a later video. We'll build a hay feeder and get this animal, this goat stall, we'll get it finished up. So the front of the goat stall here, it actually ended up being 4.5 feet tall. So that should be plenty tall enough that these Nigerian dwarf goats that my wife's going to get won't be able to get out. Hopefully it's actually tall enough for some bigger goats as well. We'll just have to wait and see. But the idea is, since the hay feeder is going to be on the back side of this, that we'll be able to just reach over and put hay into it, or if we have something here to, like a feed bucket, like if we want to pour feed in there for them. So hopefully we'll be able to feed the goats just by reaching over the top of this, and won't have to necessarily get in the stall if we don't want to. But, that'll probably just be mostly in the wintertime or something. Hopefully, the rest of the year, these goats will be out on pasture during the day and won't spend much time in these stalls. So one other thing we did on this stall is we left a 2-inch gap between the concrete floor and the wall there. We did the same thing here. You can see the light shining through. So there is a 2-inch gap between the concrete and the wall. And I think that's just going to help us with cleaning. If we need to clean these out, we'll be able to help, sweep under that. Or if we want to take a garden hose and wash from one stall over to the next stall, we'll be able to, the water will just be able to flow from stall to stall. And I think it'll just help with cleaning, being able to have a gap underneath the walls there. So now that the goat stall is all built, I think we just need to get it set up for goats. So I'll need to come back, and I'm going to build a hay feeder on the inside of that wall there. Need to hang a mineral feeder in there so that the goats can have free choice minerals. And then I need some way to water the goats, a bucket or a trough or something, something that I can, give water to the goats in. I think that'll pretty much wrap up everything I need to do so that the goat stall is ready for goats. If there's something else I need to do, let me know. But I think I'm just going to come back in another video and we'll build a hay feeder for inside of there, and just get the rest of the goat pen, the goat stall here, get it all set up and ready to go. And then my wife can finally go get some goats. So I think this will wrap up this video, guys. I still need to get this barnyard all the way secure. I still got a little bit of fencing to do, some gates to hang. So I'll have to come back, get the barnyard 100% done, and then my wife will probably finally go out and get some goats. So we'll have some goats before you know it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.